You're so
The 21.
interesting.
At the age of 14, I was already out on the street. Becoming a mom at 21, I was in graduate school for psychology.
Story is just wow. Like it's just so many layers. So it's
I
like,
have been working as a personal chef in New York. I was a cop, I was a police officer for 10
oh,
years, and
oh
I'm
wow.
like a food personality from Food Network.
Oh, everybody here wants to know, did you end up winning the car? Thank you. All right. So, first, I want to say I really enjoy your Reiki. I watch it very often. I think that you are so talented and so
Oh,
amazing. So, I wanted to reach out to you, and I'm glad that you accepted. So then you could share your healing journey with everybody. So,
oh,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off by just asking you if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to everybody and just sharing what you do here on TikTok.
Okay, so my name is Diana, and I am a Reiki master practitioner. And my goal here with Reiki is to work with people to heal trauma, trauma from relationships, trauma from childhood, trauma from the workplace, because, a lot of people, and I keep hearing it like a lot in the past couple of years since the pandemic, people experiencing workplace trauma. And I don't think we talk enough about that. But also, um, another topic that, people I don't usually hear about is like that masculine energy, how trauma creates, like sometimes you have too much of one energy than the other, and that kind of creates the shadow side of you, and just helping people to balance out all of those energies and to heal from trauma, because it all starts with like emotional and mental issues. And so that was my goal when I started learning Reiki, was to go in that direction.
I love that. I love that. And now you're just healing the world. So amazing. So can you share a little bit with us what your life looked like before you began your healing journey? Was there something that like impacted you where you were just kind of like, hey, like I need to make a change, or was it just, you just felt the need to help others? How did that start?
Yeah, it was, so I experienced a lot of homelessness. At the age of 14, I was already out on the street. I, came from a dysfunctional family setting, and not to like bash on my mom, because, now that I'm older, wiser, I understand that she has her own wounds, but just the way I was raised, I feel like, I was struggling with a lot of childhood trauma, and then becoming a mom at 21 and still carrying those wounds, and then trying to be a mom, it's just layers of trauma. And so I dealt with a lot of homelessness, um, anxiety, depression, which then all that stuff spilled over into my relationships with people, my relationships in the workplace. And then I ended up developing PTSD. And so all of those combined, like it just was really hard for me to function anywhere and feel like I fit in. So I got to a point where I was just really tired of it. And my cousin had introduced me back in 2009. She had introduced me to this Reiki master who was holding these metaphysical classes. And that was like the first step into it. So this Reiki master we were working with, she kind of pushed me like to really trust what I was picking up. And she showed us how to balance our chakras. And then from there, I just like I just was hungry for information. So I ended up getting my Reiki certification when I was working on getting my second Reiki certification. I was in graduate school for psychology. And I remember I was at the bookstore one day and I'm going through books, and this one book just jumped at me. And it was Anatomy of the Spirit from Caroline Myth. And I started reading this book, and she goes through all of the chakras. And she talks about like how our bodies store information. Like every experience that you've had in your life, whether positive or negative, your body absorbs all this information, and then it starts to react, like your cells start to react. And so what I was learning from her book was like how mental emotional issues manifest into illnesses and diseases, and how we have the ability to heal ourselves. And at first I didn't believe, like I would read her case studies and I'm like, this is not possible that people are like healing from these, really serious diseases. And I started looking her up and then reading like her other books and listening to a lot of her workshops. And I just like I would say that was the thing that made me go in this direction of how I wanted to teach people about Reiki. Not like the way I learned, because I learned, the basics, like put your hand over, learning the chakras, learning the Reiki symbols. But like this was going really deep into the chakras and understanding how they work and how to heal them. And then from there, just using my experiences and just coming up with this method of how I wanted to work with people, like with clients, and just how I wanted to do Reiki. So I got tired of like the repeated patterns I kept noticing of like being homeless, like throughout my younger, adult years. And I wanted to break that pattern. But it didn't want to go in the direction of like seeing a psychiatrist and then being on medication. I'm very much into natural things. And that was sort of like the direction I wanted to go in. And so that's how I came to this world.
I love it. I love it. Your story is very inspiring. And I see a lot of people on my side saying that they can relate. They've walked through those shoes, and I think that that's part of really good Reiki healers, and sharing, and being relatable, because that shows that you're diving in deeper, that extra layer, like, from experience, and from experience how to heal within. And that's so amazing. I love it. So, and also your story is just wow. Like, it's just so many layers of beauty and texture, and just to see somebody that's been through so much and has overcome so much and has taken it for the better, and has been like, hey, I want to take my life and my experiences and go out and heal others. That's absolutely beautiful. So thank you. And
Yeah.
so let's see. So I have so what would you say is the how do you help others with your experiences, like with your healing experiences? And I know you shared a little bit, but um do you find that a lot of people that have traveled in your shoes, that they attract more to you, or like how do you help them, if
I
somebody was
always
to come to you?
I always attract like the people that are the most misunderstood. And I feel like because I was that person, I was also diagnosed with ADHD. So for me, I would always use art as a way to escape, the present world I was living in. And I also felt like I wasn't understood by my mom, my family. They misunderstood me. I was very outspoken. So it was always misconstrued as me being having an attitude or having a big mouth, and I just always wanted to find a place where I could fit in. And I feel like I always attract people like that. I'll have complete strangers like start talking to me and sharing all of their life story, you know, all the tragedies
Yeah.
they've had. And, you know, I just listen. You know, because everybody's on their own journey, and I know like I have a purpose, and I feel like, you know, I just take that opportunity to meet people, also learn from them, but also give them the support that nobody else would give them, you know, if they hadn't met me. So
Yeah.
it always turns out like that. Like I'll meet people and we'll have like the same kind of path that we went on, you know.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
So I want to remind everybody, if you guys haven't taken an opportunity to follow Diana, please give her a follow. And while we do that, also, could you tell everybody what your live schedule looks like? Do you go on certain nights that they could come and check you out if they haven't, which I'm sure a lot of my people follow you. I wouldn't see why not, because you're absolutely amazing. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, but what's your live schedule look like?
I need to put a schedule up. I've kind of been playing around with the times because
Okay.
just, you know, because I feel like at night I get lower views. There's
Yeah.
sometimes in the late morning where there's more people. So I've been playing around with that
Okay.
to see like what could I do around my current work schedule, and then, you know, what when I'm available, and then sometimes when I'm on, I use up so much energy and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so tired, I can't, you know. So I'm trying to work on putting out a schedule.
Okay.
um yeah, but I usually try to come on in the evenings, like around 6 o'clock Eastern time. And
Okay.
on the
Great.
weekends, I try to come on like early, maybe 9 o'clock Eastern time,
All right.
something like
Awesome.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, if you so so please give her a follow. She will pop up on your live, when she's live, or not on your live, but on your TikTok. So giving you notifications. So, and then just be on the lookout for that schedule. That's so awesome. Well, so what would you say? What would you what would you like people to take away? Like, what would be some big life-changing tools that might help somebody if they were listening today, and maybe they were struggling at work, or they were struggling with PTSD or flashbacks, or anything like that, with your healing? What would you like them to take away today from
I would say the one thing that my journey has taught me is like meditation or prayer is so important, to have a connection with, you know, spirit, God, Jesus. Um, I have a connection with Jesus. So I'm always praying. I'm always praying to God. And I'm a big believer in the power of prayer. I've seen miracles happen for me. And when I was just like, nothing's gonna come through, in the last hour, I would say that like my journey has taught me to really be still and wait for it to come. Like it's gonna come, like what you need, the support that you need. Faith, you have to have faith. You, without a doubt, 100%, you have to have 100% faith. You have to be super confident in who you are, no matter what people are saying about you. If people are putting you down and saying you're no good or whatever, you really have to be solid in your confidence, your faith, because those are the two things that got me through. I've always been a loner. I've always had to walk this path alone. Um, you know, when I was a single mom, everything I did, there was no one to support, like to rely on. And I always just had to really be tough and remind myself who I am, and that like I could overcome anything. And as long as you have that faith and confidence, like whatever prayers you're putting out there, they are always, always answered. Always. And so it's taught me, because there's been, you know, sometimes when people are going through stuff, they want to grab the situation and control it, right? Control the outcome. And I was that person, always wanted to control. And then I just learned to be still. And I learned to pray, and I learned to find my sanctuary places that I like to go to and pray and just wait for it to happen and come to me. And that's what this journey has taught me.
I love that. I hear it. I hear it. Like at one point, you brought tears to my eyes because I love that. I love that connection with a higher power. And you're so right. Like when you can just have that acceptance, hey, like I'm powerless. All that I can do is, do the footwork of my journey, and that's it. And just allow the universe or higher power to work with me. I don't have to do this journey alone. So I hear you saying that, and it's just beautiful and it's very moving. So thank you for sharing that because I think that is really important. And I think that sometimes people do. I know me, I've been there, I've gotten lost before where I've just felt very lonely and like I had to do everything on my own. And just when you can just let go, and they say, let go and let God, let go and let spirit, whatever it may be, it's just that path of least resistance. So we're
Yeah.
gonna move on to this next question, the last question, bonus question. What is an interesting fact or hidden talent that most people on TikTok might not know about you?
Oh, I have so many hidden talents, and I think my ADHD has a lot to do with it
Ah,
because I'm always looking for like some kind of art form to go to. Um, I would say the one thing that people don't know about me, that I haven't brought up, that is a talent, is that I am a award-winning chef, and
oh
I am
wow.
like a food personality from Food Network. So
Oh my goodness, that's like a big deal. Wow.
yeah, so I haven't like connected both worlds, but
Yeah.
that's something that I've been working towards because like that food world is a whole other separate world from
Well,
Reiki. But
yeah.
like I've been like talking with myself about, okay, how do I combine both of my passions, because I've always been passionate about food, but
Yeah.
more like just the art of it, the art of creating something,
Mhm.
um, using spices for medicine, as medicine.
Yeah.
So I've studied them to just to know what their medicinal qualities are. So
Mhm.
right now, what I'm doing is I'm studying on work like getting a Ayurvedic nutrition certification so
Yeah.
that I can
Yay.
mix the two together
Uh-huh.
and combine like my love of food and spices along with like my Reiki healing.
Awesome. We'll all be on the lookout for that. My daughter, she's on watching and she loves the Food Network. So could you give us a little more information about that? Or like,
So, so this is
sorry.
like the first time I'm talking about
I
it
think it's
here.
so awesome.
I've been so scared to bring it up, and I don't even know why. But like, I just not like. I'm like, okay, I'll work up to it. I'll work up to letting my, people know like that that's my other world. But
Yeah.
so I've been on Chopped. So Chopped is one of my favorite food competitions. Um, I
Uh-huh.
I applied for it back in 2012, and I applied as a joke because I never thought I was gonna get picked for it, but I ended up getting
Yeah.
selected, and it was for like one of their um, themed episodes for like Creative Bomb. So that episode is called Monumental. So
Oh,
if you look
nice.
up Chap Monumental, that's the first episode I was on. Then they brought me back for the tournament, and that was pretty exciting
Yeah,
because
it
I got to
sounds so.
compete. Yes,
You're so
the tournament.
interesting.
The tournament is like that was like so shocking to me, and the crazy thing is that I was going down. I was like spiraling down at that point in my life. I
Yeah.
had been transitioning from, I was a cop, I was a police officer for 10
Oh,
years. I know, I'm like a cat. I've lived like 100
I
different
love
lives.
it.
But I was a cop before, and I did that
Yeah.
for about 10 years. But the environment was so toxic, and
Yeah.
it just too masculine. I was just always angry all the time, and it was affecting my health. And you know, activating my PTSD, that I decided I was going to leave. I
Mm-hmm.
had gave myself a deadline, and I said, okay, I'm done. I gave you 10 years. I'm done. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to leave and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And when I quit at that time, I was on my journey, my spiritual journey, and I felt like I was in a good place because I had been meditating every morning for like an hour, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt like it was helping me to build my confidence to leave.
Yeah.
And so I gave myself a deadline. I quit, didn't have a job lined up. I'm like, I got bills to pay and everything, but I need my happiness first. So I
Yeah.
left. And when I left, that was when I decided to apply to go on the show. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got in, and then the following year, they called me back.
So
I have
exciting.
been working as a personal chef in New York. So that's what
Uh-huh.
I ended up transitioning to. And but work started slowing down. And so I
Yeah.
was like behind on my bills. I'm like, oh my God. I'm and this is before I was like really heavy into social media. I wouldn't go on
Mm-hmm.
social media, but it wasn't the way it is now. So I, was like struggling to get work, and things were just spiraling out of control. And then I start doing this is when I first discovered Abraham Hicks.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness.
okay.
Yes.
I start listening to her. I watched the movie The Secret, and I said,
Oh.
okay, I'm going to do this 30-day challenge, and I'm going to see. So I start this 30-day challenge, and every
Mm-hmm.
day I'm writing my list. And then one day I get my shut off notice for my electric bill, and I'm like, I'm so grateful for my electricity. I'm so grateful for my, like, it was just like, I'm
I
writing, but
totally
every
get it.
day
Yeah.
something was happening. My car got repoed. I'm like, I'm so grateful for my car, wherever my new car is. Like, everything was happening, like everything was going wrong. But I kept
Yeah.
on and I kept on. 30 days passed, no improvement. So I'm like, okay, let me go for another 30 days. By the 45th day was when I got an email from the producers that they wanted me to come on the show to do the tournament. And I
Wow.
said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I don't care where I'm at. I could be homeless, but I'm going to do the show. And
Yes.
hopefully that'll get me more clients.
Mm-hmm.
So a month and a half later, I go to New York to film. We do this tournament. And so there's, they have like a monetary prize, right?
Yeah.
Well, they announced that we would also be competing for a brand new car. And I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
there's no way that they're offering a car. They've never offered a car. And I
Yeah.
had just lost my car because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't pay it. Like was like behind on my notes. And I'm like, there's no way that they're offering a car. And
Yeah.
and they were like, Buick is donating a car plus the monetary. And I was like, okay, I think that's my car.
Yeah.
So I ended up, getting all the way to the end. And then after that, I did a couple other more shows. I did Guy's Grocery. I did on Viceland, the show Bang Appetit.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So we did
wow.
that one, the season 3. I did that one, and Cutthroat Kitchen was another one that I did.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my adventures with the Food Network.
That's so exciting. That's so crazy. I love it. And I saw my daughter going crazy in the chat. I know she's going to be all over it watching you now. So that's so exciting. You've lived such an exciting life. You really have. I love it. I love it. Oh, everybody here wants to know, did you end up winning the car?
I do. My car is going to be 10 years old
Oh my
next
goodness.
year.
Wow. Wow. What a beautiful testimony.
Yeah,
Wow, I
I
love
just,
it.
that's why I believe in miracles, and like just going through the stuff that I went through, the ups and the downs, and my faith has always been with me, like
Yeah.
it's hard when you're going through all that stuff and believing that something good is going to happen, but like I really put that gratitude list to the test. And
Yeah.
to this day, I still do my vision boards. I still do my gratitude list. I always say thank you whenever I spend money on anything, and
Mhm.
it keeps flowing. Like the
Yes.
things that I need, they just keep flowing, and I feel really grateful for that.
I love it. I love it. That's so beautiful. What a beautiful message, and very inspiring. I see so many people being like, "That's awesome. Yay." Very excited for you that that happened, and I think sometimes we need to hear that reminder, because sometimes we might get out of a rut. Maybe we're keeping a manifestation box or a gratitude list, and then all of a sudden, you get busy with life, and one day turns into, a week later to a year later, and just remembering those tools, that and when you put it into action, I love it. I love your story, and thank you for sharing it with everybody.
Yeah, I used to have a women's empowerment group a few years back, and we would do it in person, and I would share that story like with
Yeah.
them, like this is I was down in the dumps, and I thought everything was going good, and then it wasn't, and then I had to like write this gratitude list to kind of shift my mind from focusing on the lack of to like this is where I want to be, this is
Yeah.
where I want. And it really does work. It does take a lot of, like you really have to control your mind and from focusing on the negative. But I tested it out and it worked. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, you can do it. You too.
So, if you don't mind me, I know I want to ask you, do you mind sharing like with them? Like what did it look like at the beginning when you talked about I was losing my car, I was losing everything. Like what did that gratitude list look like for you for that time when you felt low? Like what were some things that you maybe can look back now and you were like I was grateful that I had this or that? What can you share?
I was using anything and everything I could to really keep myself from falling into a depression because I was feeling so hopeless because I was doing great at one point. And then and I was living in Pennsylvania and commuting to New York for work every day because that was like the sacrifice I wanted to make to jump into this industry, make a name for myself. And so things were going good, and then the winter hit, and there was a bad winter storm that year, and it slowed down. And if I didn't work, I wasn't going to get paid. And so because I didn't grow up with a strong understanding of financial literacy, that's so important because if you don't have a good relationship with money, you will always fear losing money. And that was something that I learned, that growing up, my mother was always worried about money. She was always worried about paying bills. And that's what we learned. So here I am, like worried about losing money, worried about not having money, and just with that hustle mentality, I gotta work, gotta work, gotta work all the time, I gotta work hard. That type of mentality can actually hurt you, because you end up manifesting your fears. And so
Yeah.
when I was learning about the teachings of Abraham Hicks, she would always say, focus on where you want things to be. Like what's happening right now is irrelevant, but focus on where you want to be. So write about things that make you happy. So I swear I'd write about, thank you so much for the piece of chocolate cake I ate. Thank you so
Yes.
much for my cat.
Yes.
Thank you so much for my bed, for the
Uh-huh.
for the heat that I had. Like literally
Yeah.
anything, everything I could think of. I was
Mhm.
like, and I would sit there crying. I was crying
Yeah.
the whole time I'm writing, but I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get out of this.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked. It took 45 days for me to get the
Mhm.
first sign. When I got that email, that was the first sign that I shifted the energy.
I love it. I love
So
it.
I'm always listening to Abraham Hicks.
Me
Anytime I need
too.
to be
Yeah.
reminded, I still practice my gratitude list. I
Yeah.
still practice my vision board. Um,
Mhm.
they work. They've been working. It works for me,
Yeah.
and it gives you, you feel grounded when you know that you really have that ability, the power within you to get the things that you need to survive, have your
Yeah.
needs met. So
Mhm.
that that's the lesson for me.
I love it. So amazing, so beautiful. Well, thank you, Diana. Thank you so much. Diana is such a remarkable Reiki healer. If you enjoyed her Reiki healing story, please give her a follow over on TikTok, Reiki Love Healing. If you enjoyed this type of content, please make sure to hit subscribe.